on the right hand. You see it?
Intro.
Hello. Hello, good old Banter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
We're live. This is the most beautiful live. Most beautiful live intro of all time right there.
I don't think we've ever had that much energy out of the gate.
That's right. Gorilla Banter Podcast in studio. Brock Washington, Dylan Fraley.
What's up?
Matt Lofton. And on Skype all the way from New York, right?
Yes.
All right. It is Mr.
Yeah,
Messiahsez.
where are y'all?
We from North Louisiana.
We're at the bottom of this bitch.
Yeah, we're at the bottom of this state, this whole country.
Well, you know what Johnny Winter said, right?
No, tell me.
He said, "There's so much shit in Texas, you're bound to step in some." He said they got some redneck, messy women there. Whoa, I'm gonna get me one. I would never say something like that.
Never? Oh.
I mean, the truth is often offensive.
I'm from New York.
Yeah.
We don't say stuff like that. We say, how you say the alphabet in New York, yo? Fucking A. Fucking C. Forget about it.
I think I want to go to New York.
That's how you say it. You know what I'm talking about? The guy comes down the street, says, hey, how you doing? You say, hey, fucking A, fucking B, fucking C. Anyhow, I don't really talk like that, but I mean, sometimes.
Just magically the camera turns on and that's what happens? You deny all other behavior?
There's like crazy people and, I relate to them sometimes.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you guys in northern Louisiana?
Oh, it's actually a quiet moment.
It is.
Yeah.
Do you know about this by what's his name about Louisiana? Louisiana. They're gonna wash us away. You know that one about a big hurricane hit?
Oh, Irma? No, not Irma.
Well,
No, about the only... I do know one hurricane song that's kind of bluesy.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. The Heathen Brothers? What is it? Nah, see, that's the one, though, about the old man down in the quarter. I don't know if you ever heard that one. I might have to send you that one.
It says 6 feet of water in the streets of Evangeline, Louisiana.
No,
I haven't heard that.
We would love to hear it, though.
yeah.
I don't know it. But I could tell you this. Climate change is real, for God's sake. I mean, look. Ginger. This is what tells you that climate change is real.
I love ginger.
Ginger. And let me explain something to you. Turmeric.
What's it doing?
It's magic.
It's magic.
Oh
God.
So do you guys know me from like YouTube?
I would say that we first heard about you through an actual Facebook share, and then we caught you on there, and then I, of course, ran to your YouTube and got all excited and happy.
That was from Reddit. Actually, what happened was, it's the one where I'm teaching where I go. I put on my finger pickies. I say finger pickies. I put on my finger pickies, and I say, "You want to know the blues? You want to know the blues?" And it was just, it's not really, that's not how to play the blues. But
It's not? I'm so disappointed.
So somebody posted this fucking crazy thing on Reddit. It went to the top of the page of Reddit. Then it got 500,000 YouTube views in like a day. And then somebody posted it on Facebook, and it got 33 million. Last time I looked, it was 33 million Facebook views. Yeah, and that changed everything. Now I do podcasts. From northern Louisiana. I love northern Louisiana. I spend all my time. If I have free time, I just go right to northern Louisiana. I mean, if you want to know where a Jew from New York with the fucking pink bow and long black, if you want to know where they could go and have like constantly be welcome, definitely northern Louisiana.
Coming from the gentleman who obviously hasn't been here.
That was beautiful, though. I you know what? I want you here now. So let's do a quick history. So obviously, one day out hatched an egg, and out came an older gentleman with a guitar in his hand. Is that what happened, or?
You mean the Messiahsez story?
Well, just tell me how you came to be. And Messiahsez strikes me as the same man, so let's go with that. So,
the first time, my wife will tell you that for the first 30 years we were married, I said this every day, but the first time that I left the planet was when I was 4 years old. And I was having eye surgery. That's why the glasses. And they put me, I can see as I sit here right now, the ether mask on my face. And I left the planet. The second time was when I was 8 years old, listening, believe it or not, to slide guitar music. Because in the slide music, there is no separation between the sounds. You just, anyhow, left the body. And then I had a long history of psychonaut behavior until 2007, when I went to Amsterdam and ate a unusually large amount of psilocybin mushrooms. And came back. I literally changed overnight. I was a fucking asshole. I was a bad union boss asshole. All right. I like it. Fuck you. And I came back a completely different person.
Oh God!
All right, I need to not touch this drink anymore because I never know when it's going to happen. All right, so was you a musician your whole life?
Well, just quickly. So my son, who had grown up with the asshole, wrote a program. He's a programmer. He wrote a program called Messiahsez, which has a picture of me looking like a Jewish rabbi, which I very easily can do. And it has a picture of me, and it says, Messiah loves you. Messiah knows everything. Click and ask Messiah a question. When you click it, it outputs 3 sentences of gibberish, which is my son's idea of what Messiah says. And then they gave me a camera and bling. Next, I started playing when I was 12. And I was that was 1962. I was self-taught until 1989. My father bought me this guitar in 1968. And in 1980, blah, 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 I worked for a business that was owned by my father that had been in business for 80 years. And they insulted me. When he retired, they insulted me. I went to work for the competitor, and the bad guy that I was talking about a few minutes ago put them out of business. They'd been in business for 80 years. I put them out of business in a year just because they were mean to me. And then I bought the telephone number of the business, which had catalogs out for 80 years. And a few years later, I get a call, and they say, we want this telephone number. And I said, yeah, fuck you. So it turns out it was a recording studio that had moved into the place where my father's business had been for the 80 years. And they found all this stuff with the phone number on it. They wanted to use the stationery and these little plaques and shit like that. and they invited me down, and I went, and that's when I started playing music again. And then, long story short, I hooked up with Jeremiah Lockwood. Write that name down, people who are listening. Jeremiah Lockwood, he's a genius, and he taught me much of what I do today. I also studied with Dave Van Ronk, by the way, who is a very famous guy. Later in his life, I studied with him, and also with Bobby Radcliffe. And Bobby taught me to play Looking Good. Long story there, too. How are you guys doing? Is that enough?
No, that's beautiful, actually. Well, I mean,
Okay.
yeah. Let's see, Dylan, you went to Gonzales.
I did.
Yeah, you went and competed?
I did.
First time as a purple belt?
It's a quick turnaround right here.
What are you talking about?
We're focusing on the gentleman.
Hey, man, he asked, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Why are
I
you
just had
worried?
Just had some pizza.
You just had some pizza.
Good.
What are you studying? Taekwondo, karate?
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
See, in that famous video that everybody looked at, they often comment on the katana.
Oh shit, Brocky's got a katana. Get over here.
Oh wow, that's like a legit. That's a legit katana. Would not want you pissed off at me.
No. Wait. Where did you acquire that beautiful sword?
Oh God, I've had it for a long time. I don't know. I used to, I have been studying martial arts to one degree or another since I was 25.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
How did you start into that, going from instruments to martial arts? Because coming from martial arts, there's no way I could ever go to instruments. I can't carry a tune in a bucket.
I sold tools for 30 years, and whenever anybody would call up and ask me how to use them, I would tell them to dial 911 because they were in fucking jeopardy of dying. Or sometimes I would say, "Excuse me, are you religious?"
No.
Oh no.
No, by no means at all.
You should call a priest, because if you're asking me how to use the tools, you are definitely going to have trouble in life. I promise you that. So don't. But I was.
You missed.
You can't
I
walk
missed
away.
everything?
Bro. You missed
You
everything.
can't walk away. Don't even go piss.
Well, then I apologize.
So I was married in 1972, graduated college in 1975, and I started the karate at the college. And as I said, I was not the most easygoing person, and I also weighed 300 pounds, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I was going to ask
I
about
saw-
your weight
I
loss
saw the-
pictures.
I saw the before and afters.
I have
Yeah,
not seen
I-
those. You look like a slim gentleman. You said you were 300 pounds?
That's what they tell me. They tell me I'm skinny, which I think is hilarious because I'm never going to be thin. But I used to weigh 300 pounds, and this morning I was 168. I'm actually trying to gain weight, but it's like I'm not having much success.
I think it's all about reference. So in reference to 300 pounds, you're skinny as hell.
That's a whole nother human.
Well, yeah, actually, people who haven't seen me for a while sometimes don't realize it's me. It's pretty funny. Of course, the beard sort of tells that story. But
Yeah.
Okay, when did the bow tie start?
The beard. Well, okay, the beard and the bow. So first of all, I have not cut my hair or my beard since the night in 2007 in Amsterdam.
2007.
Yeah, that's when
10 years.
the Messiahsez was born. That's when I went to the. So, I mean, what happened to me, and the reason that my son calls me Messiah, and the reason actually other people call me Messiah as well, is that I actually went to where the Jewish people call the Garden of Eden, and others paradise, and the land of milk and honey, whatever you want to call it. I've been there and I've seen it, and people. I didn't get it from a book. I could write the book. So, why did I start saying that?
Why your son and everyone calls you Messiah?
Right, but
The bow tie
Yeah.
was the question before.
here. Okay, so on my granddaughter's 3rd birthday in June, there were a horde of 3-year-old boys and girls here, and a pink bow was left over, So I just put it on my beard, and the amount of love that this thing gets is ridiculous. And what I do is I carry a bag of them in my little bag that I carry around.
Yeah.
And everyone from old women to young girls to men and blah, 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 they just love the beard. They smile. They just smile. And what I do is I give them a bow. And the bow, and the bow is, the bow essentially is telling the people out there who have rules and regulations for how you're supposed to do things and how you're supposed to look. The beard essentially tells them to fuck themselves.
I love it. I love it so much.
And this is coming from a guy who essentially lived by the rules and lived by some, sounds like pretty cutthroat business practices for a while, right?
Well, I definitely, and that's a very interesting thing. First of all, I ran into my 7th grade social studies teacher recently. He's now in his 80s, and he was my mentor and the mentor to many people in those days. And he told me that I was the most feared student in the entire school system.
At 7th grade, what were you, 13? Yeah. Just a 13-year-old terror?
Just a
exactly.
savage teenager.
I wasn't actually savage. What I was disruptive and smart. And I also played their game against them, so that it was really hard for them to fuck with me, even though they wanted to, because I knew how to play their game, and they apparently hated me. I'm sorry, why did I say that?
We were just talking about the changes you've made over your life. You know, how you were a cutthroat businessman and all sorts of things in life. And
right. So I still have, and I probably could find it, the 13 rules. When I was in business, I had 13 rules. Like, one of them was, don't chew anything. When you're going to come and call on a customer, don't chew anything.
Yeah, people hate it on the podcast too. That's why Brock doesn't let me have snacks.
Good. Thank you. The other thing is, and this was in the early days of cell phones, don't turn off your phone. If your phone goes off while you're with me, you have to fucking leave.
Ooh.
Okay. Don't wear cologne or anything that smells, because some people cannot fucking stand it. And then, of course, blah, 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 blah. And the final one was, just remember that I, the buyer, am the most important and wonderful person in the entire universe, and you will do everything that I want you to do. Thank you very much. But yes, I did have rules, and not only did I have rules, but I also created computer systems and inventory control methods, but never bookkeeping.
Do we have a feeling about those rules now? How do you feel about those rules now?
Well, as I have been known to say, I am crazy but not stupid. And although, I don't know, actually, if you look at my house and stuff like that, people won't sit next to me on the subway, by the way, because of the way I look. And I also dress in very shabby clothing, but I'm actually relatively well-to-do. And my children allow me to manage the money for the family. So while I am crazy, I'm not stupid. And the answer is, there are some things where rules do make sense.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love it. I love it. That's solid.
Some would almost make a Jew joke right there, but, you know, hey, it's beautiful.
Also, for anyone who's listening to this, and for you three, assuming that you're the only three listening.
And if we are, we win.
Well, there is a very important rule which I would like to say to you guys.
Give it.
Never spend more than you make.
Yes.
It's what?
And the reason for that's called frugality. And the reason to be frugal is so that you can be generous. And that's to yourself as well as to others. And why do you want to be generous? Because the whole Messiahsez thing, the whole thing that I discovered, the whole reason I don't shave the beard, etc. I did, by the way, take a shower for you fucking people. Is that the purpose of your being? It's not the meaning. There is no meaning as far as I can tell. But the purpose of your being is to love, and that love is the one thing that the more of it you give, the more you have to give. And it is, as far as the human being is concerned, it is infinite in its capacity. The more love that you feel and the more love that you give, the more that you have to give. And it's the only thing like that. And the reason for that is because the reason it's the only thing like that is because it's the only thing that is. You are it. Your microphone is it. And yes, all of the bad people that people have written stories about, them too. A pure expression of unending, infinite love. Oh shit, people hate it when I say that, but what about Hitler? And my son, of course, always says that, yes, the minute that you bring up Hitler, you lose the argument. So,
well, I mean,
I don't know.
So to just go with this, I mean, you mentioned before the podcast, you mentioned Marcus Aurelius, and so I just have to kind of assume that you had a lifelong search for this meaning that you've now said doesn't exist. Was you a guy that read a lot of philosophy books and things like that growing up?
My best friend, who died in 2012, who I knew for 40 years, was a philosopher. And since when I was 8 years old, actually, I have been searching for words that express my experience. And that. it is, pardon me?
Continue.
It's difficult to find because the wisest among us will tell you that words cannot and are not able to describe the thing. Lessing, my friend who's dead, said the word is not the thing. So it's very difficult to find words that express it. I think the closest that I've come to being able to express it is like this.
Yeah. The vibrations.
Yeah. That's what it is. Now, so Stevie Ray Vaughan and stuff, but yes, at the moment, I'm reading Alan Watts.
Yes.
These two might be Alan Watts's number one, number two fans.
I go to sleep every night listening to his lectures because it calms the voices in my head.
Oh, that's beautiful. That touches me. And I'm having an intense deja vu at the moment as well.
It's been about 2 years since I first found him, and it's made my entire life so much better of an experience.
He actually found Alan, Brock, you introduced him to Alan Watts, and Dylan introduced...
I was part of it, but I wasn't
Okay, well, he introduced me to Alan Watts, and now I try to take a moment at least a couple of times a week where I just sit down and listen to a full lecture. Whenever
you did the guitar strums and you waved it in and out, and I could hear the waves and the vibrations, like that's instantly the first thing that came to mind. And I wanted to ask you, I wonder if he listens to Alan Watts because the vibrations and the frequency of life.
It reminded you of the mantras and all he was talking about.
And then your tangent about love and your psychedelic experience with mushrooms. You might be my new hero.
Well, that's. Alan Watts would probably tell you. I'm not sure what he would say, but if I can be a hero, or if I can inspire, or if I can just make that point, and if we can sit here and be happy and smile and be enjoying ourselves, it means everything. And one of the things, my recent guitar lessons, the last two actually, were about the gap.
Yes, I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah, so minding the gap and being aware of the gap. Expound it.
So the gap is the moment between which I speak and you hear me, whether it's on the interwebs or whether it's right here. If someone is sitting over there and I speak, they feel as if they're hearing me in the moment, but they're not. I speak, the vibration goes to their ear, they hear it, and then they process it. And there is a gap between my making the sound and the person hearing it. But in most cases, people experience that as momentary, that they're actually hearing it as it happens. And that is the illusion and delusion that confuses many people, because in fact, the only thing that's happening is one big thing simultaneously. And I think Alan Watts would probably agree with that. And that when you are able to experience that one thing happening simultaneously, it is at that point where you understand and can actually feel as a human being that infinite love that we were talking about 16 seconds ago. Or, oh, wait, I just said there is no such thing as 16 seconds.
You're crazy. You're crazy, but you're not stupid. Oh.
Vibration. See, that's what we are.
There we go. How many more instruments you got over there?
You just keep pulling things out of the corner of the screen, and it makes me wonder what all's down there, because I've seen 4 guitars, a katana, and is that a different guitar?
That's a different one.
It's a little out of tune.
Sounds beautiful.
We got that one. And then we got the $74 one. Blue. And then, I don't know, we got a shitload of ones, so. This one actually has a story to it, but. And, I don't know, am I getting boring yet?
No. I'm convinced there's a void beneath the bottom of the screen from which you can pull all things.
Is it Gilgamesh? There we go. That's an instrument I know and love.
You did have a harmonica in Kuwait, didn't you?
Will you get on the F train? Why does it go so slow? You get on the F train. I hope you guys are recording this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's streaming live to YouTube, baby.
This, by the way, is where the guitar picks are.
It's what?
You
Guitar
realize
picks.
that
Oh.
guitar picks are, there's a whole thing about losing guitar picks, right? You know about that?
Hit me.
Well, it's just like, if you have a guitar pick and you play them like a I'll show you. Watch. So you take out, I almost just lost it then, but okay, so you take out the pick, right? This is a pick. I don't know, am I looking at the TV? Yes, this is a pick, right? Watch this. Banter. It's a podcast. Northern Louisiana. And then the pick is gone. Now where'd the pick go?
I'm confused. it's a magic trick.
What happened?
It just flew out of my hand. So now this one, here's another pick. This one is thin. 47 miles of barbed wire. Whoa, got a cobra snake for a necktie. Got a brand new house along the roadside. Is it made out of a rattlesnake's hide? I said, brand new chimney up on top. It's made out of a human skull. I said, come on, baby, put your hands in mine. Tell me, who do you love? Woo! Whoa, you can do that! Anyhow, and then the pick just disappears, and then you just, but if you play with your fingers, go, cocaine. Cocaine running round my brain. I said, come on, baby, won't you come on quick? This old cocaine gonna make me sick. Cocaine round my brain. Well, my mucous membranes are a memory. Sometimes I think cocaine's bad for me. Cocaine round my brain. Candyman, he's been and gone. Candyman, his name is John. Candyman, which is also about cocaine. Doing anything it is, moving the Candyman around. Run, fetch, get the baby some beer. Run, fetch, get the baby some beer. Go on, get out of here. Run, fetch, get the baby some beer. Run, fetch, get the baby some beer. I would do anything that's got him out of the world to bring my Candyman around. That Candyman, and when what's his name was talking about Spoonful. You know that tune?
Yep.
That spoonful, spoonful. They're talking about cocaine. He says, would you kill a man for a spoonful? He says, yes, I would kill a man for a spoonful. I'd be glad.
So I'm guessing cocaine must have fueled some of the greatest musical riffs.
I think drugs in particular probably is involved in almost all of the greatest musical.
Well, I mean, mushrooms in Amsterdam brought us here.
And it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing, and it goes back to the idea of a podcast, setting up a podcast being more difficult than spreading Greek philosophy into the Western mind. It's actually setting up a podcast with the wires and shit is way more difficult than spreading the ideas of Greek philosophy into the human Western man's experience. What was the question?
I don't think there was.
I don't think there was one.
No, but
wait, no, I had something extremely important to say.
I think
talking about drugs being involved in all of it.
Drugs. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The idea of calling okay, so first of all, I'm running for president. Did you guys know that?
I didn't.
I'm running for president on the Trees Party, TREES Party line. Look it up, treesparty.com.
Right.
And our purpose, platform, and process are exactly the same. And what is that? To get naked and groovy. Well, okay. So look, it's the fucking United States of America we're talking about here, okay? You guys understand this. You're from northern Louisiana. There's a lot of fucking Christian people over there, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we know.
So true.
They shoot each other a lot, but what the fuck? It's actually... Look out. She's going to the meeting. So, I'm running for president, and the process, the purpose, and I said it already. Would you like to know what they are?
Naked and groovy.
Did I say it?
Naked.
To get naked and groovy. Why? I'm running for president of the fucking United States. You guys live there in Christianity land, okay, right? So, let's talk about the Bible, because the Bible is the reason that I'm running for president. What was the first thing that God told people to do in the Bible?
Get naked and groovy.
No.
Go forth and multiply?
Isn't that the
No.
same thing?
Yeah, to get
Same
naked.
thing.
Well, yes, but Yes, to go forth and be fruitful, which is to get naked. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. And at the end of the first day, what did God say?
It was good.
She said it was good, yes. On the end of the second day, when she made the shit that she made, right? Okay. On the end of the second day, when she made the shit that she made, what did she say at the end of the second day?
It was good.
It was good. On the third day, and in Hebrew, it's kitov. Kitov, it was good. On the third day, God made pot and all of the other psychoactive plants,
Right.
and all of the plants that we require in order to remain alive. And what did she say at the end of the third day? She said it was very
good.
Nope, it was very good.
Very good.
God wants you to get naked and groovy. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And if you vote for Messiahsez, I'm gonna make everybody get naked and groovy. I also am. When you crazy people come to the, I don't know, did I just do that? When you crazy people come to New York and visit, there is this place that I go to on a regular basis called the Russian and Turkish Baths. It's a spa. Don't get the wrong idea, all right? Baths, blah, blah, blah. Russian bath. You go look it up. Anyhow, my goal in life is not only that everyone should get naked and groovy, but that they should salt scrub simultaneously. That if every single human being, or let's start with everybody in New York City, right? Everybody in New York City just salt scrub simultaneously. The world would change. Have you ever used salt scrub?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you take some salt, and you take some oil, olive oil, coconut oil, I don't give a shit. Mix it together until it gets to a slushy consistency, one that you like. You can use any kind of oil you want. I go to Dr. Google. Do you know Dr. Google?
I do. Mm-hmm.
I use Dr. Google, and Dr. Google says, so I use grapeseed oil, olive oil, shea butter, and coconut oil, mixed with just regular salt and kosher salt, which is essentially just, coarse salt. And I go to the Russian and Turkish baths, and I scrub. And what it does is it exfoliates your skin, okay? And then the oil moisturizes the skin below. You've heard it said that your skin is your biggest fucking organ, right?
That's true.
Well, listen, you males. Take care of your skin, for God's sake. Now, understand something. What happens when you take the dead skin off? I mean, you go in your house, right, and there's dust all over the place, right?
Yeah.
You know what the dust is?
It's your dead skin, right?
Your dead skin, exactly. It goes back into the ground. That which is organic is constantly going back into the ground. It goes into the ground, as does the waste material from your body. Waste material, my fucking ass. It's what the fucking mushrooms grow on. Shit. Mushrooms grow on shit, okay?
I'm tracking.
They do. And not only that, but the reason that we're having this conversation is because our relatives ate mushrooms
And speech.
developed the consciousness above their, Neanderthal brothers and sisters and survived because they could then be crazy but not stupid. In other words, the psilocybin expanded their minds. It continues to this day. There's all sorts of science being done about it as well. However, you take a shit and your skin goes back into the ground, right?
True.
It grows a flower out of the fucking ground, right? A bee, although we're fucking with the bees too, but really.
Oh,
A bee comes to the fucking flower and has sex with it, okay? My first video was called literally, plant sex. So the fucking bug goes and has sex with the plant, right? Mm-hmm. Goes back to the hive, which of course, are you familiar with Reddit?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Reddit is a fucking hive. See, I have over 350,000 karmas on Reddit. Anyhow, the bee then goes and does its sex thing in the hive, and that makes honey. We then eat the honey, and essentially what we're doing is eating the shit that came out of our asshole. So, and not only that, but we take what is supposedly dead, a nut, a fruit, I don't care, it's dead, and we turn it into something that can fucking talk on the internet.
Absolutely. Now, you want to know something really funny about mushrooms and bees?
I do.
The antiviral properties of funguses are 1,000% more effective than anything else known to man in protecting bees from viruses, like the deformed wing virus. A lot of people that are trying to save their own beehives and stuff now are planting mushrooms next to their beehives.
Well, that's beautiful. I'm glad to hear that. Do you know about Paul Stamets?
Actually, yes, I do.
Yeah, I'm sure. He is a leader in that field, and the mushrooms also. First of all, mushrooms are similar in composition in terms of the fluidity of their nature. I don't mean to say fluidity, but mushrooms and humans are very close, the same in terms of the amount of water that exists in our bodies. A mushroom, I think, is 92%. I think we're 82%. The other thing is that mushrooms, of course, are not plants, and they, like us, eat protein. And the connection or correlation between humans and mushrooms is, as far as I'm concerned, not coincidental.
Yeah, they're also one of the few creatures that take oxygen and turn it into carbon dioxide versus the other way around.
He believes that gentleman
Paul Stamets?
Yeah, Paul Stamets believes all life came from fungus, correct?
All
life
mammals,
as we know it.
Yeah.
That I don't know, but I would be happy to say that the mushrooms, the psychoactive mushrooms, the psilocybin mushrooms, are actually conscious beings, and that they were put here intentionally by other conscious beings so that we could be able to do what we're doing now, and that the potential for us to go beyond what we're doing now is for sure certain, because there are those among us, Alan Watts, for instance, who have experienced a consciousness that is beyond the experience of most people. And mushrooms have, as far as I'm concerned, a major role in that, in the truth of what I just said.
So,
shut up. Yes.
That does lead me to the next question of what is your theology, I should say, because you talk about other beings and things like that. You believe in a intelligent design of sorts.
We're it, right?
On the night that I changed, there was a moment at which I had the choice to give up my mind, to let my mind go. And through all of the 57 years, I had never done that. I had my body, sure. My mind, never. I never really had the opportunity to, much less thought about that. And then while I was having this experience, the opportunity arose, and I took it, knowing that I might not come back, which obviously I did. And I'm on record as saying that what I encountered was what I would call the elders of consciousness. And that the elders are simply the expression of that which came before the Big Bang. And there's no theology here, because I don't know about God or anything like that. I know what people call God, and I know that they don't know what they're talking about, and that it is impossible for a human being to understand and express that which cannot be known, which is from where the elders come. So yes, I would say that the elders, that consciousness comes from beings, and that those beings are beyond our capacity to comprehend. But they're not God, and there's no rules. Of course, if there's a rule, it's don't chew gum when you go all on me. And remember that I am the most important fucking person in the world. But if there is a...
We all are.
Of course. Well, that's right, because we are all that one perfect thing that is as good as it can possibly be and constantly getting better. And that's the definition of perfection. And that's what we are, and that's what it is, and that's what it comes from. Does it have rules about covering your head, or, you know, whether you can have sex with your wife while she has her period and stuff like that? No, that's bullshit. That was just books written by men, typically. We had this discussion at my daughter's house today, that the books were typically written by men. If you look at this Bible, which I'm using to run for president, on the second page, it says that God made man, and then he made woman, and he made the woman subservient to the man. Okay?
That sounds like something a man would say.
Yeah, exactly. And they a fucking cactus, because it's fucking bullshit. And it has influenced the development of so many problems in our world based on the way men treat women.
Yeah,
and it's,
I mean, literally to the point.
You know,
I mean, I think Simone de Beauvoir literally made a career out of that, right? Whenever, you know, she wrote The Second Sex and her books.
you talk fancy talk, huh?
Simone de Beauvoir.
He does a lot of fancy talk.
Yeah, I'll talk a French.
you
we call them Liberty fries.
Oh, God.
No,
I forgot we did that.
Yeah, Dad blasted French. You don't think we should go to Iraq?
I forgot we did that. Oh, my God.
Oh God, this one.
I want to bury that again.
Yeah.
Just Liberty fries.
Watch this. So, anyhow, and all those notes, right? That's called the pentatonic major scale. And there are so many songs that you can play with those notes, it's fucking stupid.
Pentatonic 5, right?
Right,
Five,
pentatonic was five notes.
5
How are we doing?
We're doing good.
Doing
Doing
great.
amazing. Well, I mean, I've had an ear orgasm for an hour now.
So what else? Do you have any other questions for me?
Man. What you got?
Your turn.
Matt? My turn?
Your turn. You
Yeah.
ain't
My
said.
turn?
You ain't said shit.
I've just been vibing. I've been vibing and going all in.
Thank you. That's the whole point.
This is literally making me a better person as this conversation goes on. And I don't really know how to explain that, but I'm kind of hitting all the things in my head that have been bouncing around for a while now.
I
I wish I had a DVD.
I kind of want to know the motivation for the Amsterdam trip. Was that something that you intended, or was it just kind of, I'm here, this situation's coming, I'm just rolling with it, or was there something that you were trying to figure out?
I can't. It would be inappropriate for me to actually tell you the truth about that. So I won't do it.
Okay.
But I was taken there in 2006 by someone, and I went back in 2007. What happened in 2007 started in 2006, and someone just invited me to go there, and that's so. The details of who that was and all that stuff is not something I talk about, but it. But the question actually, I think, is was there a motivation to go and do this specific thing?
Right.
Yes.
And the answer is that as far as my life it goes, and to sometimes this makes it not as easy as it might be, that's all that I do.
You just live in the now?
And am constantly am constantly what's his name? Terrence McKenna. Hold on, let's see.
Another familiar name.
Oh, right.
So I'm talking about. Get out that Mr. Google.
It's actually the Hu Hua Qing.
Who watching?
Not
You
familiar.
got me on this one.
It's by what's his name? Lao Tzu. The wrote the Tao Te Ching. You know, the book
The
of
Tao?
Taoism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, I can't find it, but essentially the idea is to give yourself in service. Don't worry and give yourself in service. That is the one of the sayings in the. I'm not saying it as well as he did, but it's don't worry and give yourself in service. And this is giving ourselves in service. Actually, as far as I can tell, is what we're doing. No, even if we don't try. But that we are given the opportunity as sentient beings to be able to try, and that while everything that we do is the best we can at the moment, that it is our purpose to do better. Right. And that is to essentially give service, and that service is love. And the love, that's why to be frugal, that's why you don't spend more than you make, so that you can spread the love.
I think that's a crossover, right? Because Marcus Aurelius, throughout Stoicism, I think he had that saying, stop worrying about being a good man and just go be a good man.
And yes, and there are and other Eastern religions have the same saying. Yes, and interestingly enough, there was a book written, and it starts out by saying that Judaism is in fact an Eastern religion. I mean, look at the letters. It surely doesn't look like Arabic writing,
right?
But there are many ideas that are common to the Jewish holy books and the books that were being written at the same time or earlier, even in India. And that the ideas in many ways are similar, not necessarily the practice. Actually, obviously not the practice, but although Jews won't eat pork and Hindus won't eat meat at all, so maybe that's the same thing.
Right.
There was also a time which I think they call 600 BC, and it was a time of spiritual awakening all over the planet, and blah 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 blah. But the answer is yes, just be good and don't worry about it.
Even I think since we've talked about the Bible so much, the Beatitudes, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, the golden rule and all that. I mean, these things, sometimes it's real fun to read all the philosophies and say, hey, these 10 things have come up in all of these books. Okay, no matter what you do these 10 things, you're pretty much on track.
And yes, and there was a famous Jewish rabbi named Hillel, and when he was challenged to explain the Torah in 30 seconds, or while standing on one leg, and he took the challenge and he said, "Love yourself and love others as you love yourself," and that is the most important thing. And it is honestly what I said before is that it's already happening. But that there is a lack of awareness. People don't realize that's what's happening. Instead, they spend their time being frightened, that they won't get enough food, that someone will hurt them, that the other people will come in the middle of the night and kill them and rape them and take their children, and that is what drags us, down. Even though it's still the best we can do.
The scared monkey is still strong in people. The scared little chimp.
That is correct. And somebody said to me last night at the climate change get-together, yes, well, you can say that, but if somebody's going to murder you, I'm sure you won't feel that way. And I am online, on the interwebs, the internets, like,
Internets.
the internets, it's very, like, I don't have a Snapchatter.
Are you surfing the web?
I used to be a surfer. I got pictures of me with my surfboard, okay? I don't have a Tumblr, and I don't have a Snapchat, but I have an Instagram, I have the Facebook, I have the Google thing, and I have the Reddit.
There's a Google
and
thing?
I have, I have a Google Plus.
You just
can't have a
blew
YouTube.
his mind.
You can't have a YouTube unless you have
Yeah,
a Google.
you literally.
He's not the one that handles that.
Right.
He's
All right,
That's me and him.
what stupidity was I just trying to get to?
Oh,
Thank you for paying attention. Say.
No, you were talking about you do have all the internet connections, and then you were talking about people when someone was killing you, and you were saying you were on record for saying
I'm on the internet and have said before, and will say it at this moment, I will love the bullet that kills me.
Ooh.
Because I am not afraid.
Today's a good day to die.
Like I said before, dying just turns you into honey, and everybody fucking loves honey. So, oh, seriously, and when you die, you turn into honey eventually, or whatever. But fear is the most pernicious, malicious emotion that human beings have, because it leads to hatred, and the hatred leads to violence, and it all comes from fear. And I'm not afraid of anything. I don't give a flying fuck.
That's awesome. Now, what do you believe happens? Now, that's what happens to the physical body. What do you think happens to the consciousness?
I think the consciousness is one big thing and never changes.
It's us.
It's expansive. Pardon me?
I said it's us. You're me and I'm you, and we're all just living it through separate perspectives.
Well, yes, and the perspective is the tricky part. The perspective there. It's true that there is the perspective, and the perspective, of course, is a function of perception. The same thing. However, the perception of it, as Lessing, who's dead, would say, is not the thing. That our perception of it, our point of view, is not what's happening. It is. We think it is, and the more that we think it is, the more fucked up we are. But yes, there's this one big thing happening, and I don't think Dennis. Dennis continues to the point where people remember me or speak of me, or etc. But that the experience, the psychological Dennis, doesn't exist now, and has no place to go. So it doesn't go anyplace. It's just part of that one big thing. I also experienced the entire thing as a solid, conscious entity. That the whole thing is conscious, including the piece of stone and the tin can on your desk.
So I'm talking about
And the cat back. Can you see the cat?
Oh, yeah. I do. Actually, the cat up there, I like it. So,
Yes.
weight loss. How old were you when you started losing weight?
I've lost 100 pounds 4 times in my life.
Okay. Walk me through those.
Whoa. You lost 400 pounds.
Well, he's saying he's lost, and then I'm assuming lost gain.
You still lost 400 pounds. I don't care if it was all together. That's incredible.
And as I say to people, I'm running out of time to gain it back. This time I started in 2010, and my daughter is the one that got me going on it. What I've done every day since 2010 is journaled every single thing that I eat and all of my exercise. So I can tell you exactly what I've eaten today. I can actually tell you what I ate yesterday and probably the day before. And I write it down in an app called MyFitnessPal. And if anybody's listening to this, MyFitnessPal.
It's a great app.
Yep. And I continue to do so. I have been stable. I've been less than 180 pounds for 2 or 3 years now.
And why the yo-yo, if I may ask? Like, when was the first time you started losing weight, and how did it go back on? And when was that first weight loss gain?
The first time was when I was 25, when I was doing the karate. I was recently married. I was married when I was 22. I was at college. There was a track, there was a sauna, there was a swimming pool.
The environment.
I can't necessarily, I mean, for me, as a person who is still mentally and always was overweight, there's always, and actually my wife actually now quotes me on this, and it's almost as important, perhaps it's more important than spending less than you make, is that when people have things that they feel are negative in their life, something that they want to change, and the key word is want to change, like cigarettes. I've also quit cigarettes, which is the hardest thing actually. But what people in relationship to cigarettes, and often in terms to, wanting to lose weight, is they want to. They want to. They don't want to. And if somebody says to me, how did you do it? I said, I wanted to. And that is the answer. And you have to, no matter what the fuck it is you're doing as a human being, you have to focus your mind on it and want to do it, because you are going to do what you want to do. It's what we always are doing.
But you're never going to do what you want to do. And I see that every day across so many different aspects of life.
Yeah.
People that want to save money, or they want to be fit. And it's, you don't really want it. You just want it.
Yeah.
That's
the fucking problem.
That's a beautiful expression, and I'm
I love the
stealing
way
that.
you put it.
Yeah.
Welcome.
You hear it all the time, I guess, from the wrong perspective.
I want to quit.
You hear sell out. You got to sell out to something. And I think that that isn't the right approach, because when you just sell out to something, you're still not wanting it necessarily. You may just be giving yourself no other option. That doesn't always work.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question for you about logging, recording, and or writing. You said you've logged everything you've eaten and every exercise since 2010?
Yes.
Do you do that? Is that strictly for the process of keeping up and make sure you're attaining your goals, or is there another reason?
That's a very good question, and I can answer it because I have thought of it. The fact is, and and I'll say it to you three, to your family members, and to anyone else that's listening, the reason to do it is that when you have the discipline to write down everything that you eat and all of your exercise, it translates into every part of your life, because you now have discipline that you can apply to every task that you choose to do. And yes, you have to perhaps think about that. And I've been doing it for so long, and I'm that kind of person. But the fact is that if you do it, it flows into every single other aspect of your life, and it leads to a positive result. As to the love thing, it's all because it makes your life more full of love, and that's, pretty much, as I said, our purpose.
You ever heard of a man named Jocko Willenick?
I don't. Tell me.
Oh, well, he's just a former Navy SEAL. He has a couple of books out now, but he has a saying, and it's great because to me it's just 3 words: discipline equals freedom.
Exactly. Beautifully said.
The most magnificent thing about this is you're crazy, and you'd never think about someone who's crazy having discipline, but you're crazy. You're not stupid, and that's why you have discipline. Like, it just goes full circle in this crazy way.
Well, I mean, it's the beautiful thing, right? You have somebody like Jocko. Jocko's the kind of guy, he literally on his Instagram is taking a picture of his phone at 4:30. 4:30 every morning. He's taking a picture of his phone and starting his workout. And that's the kind of guy he is. And you, in that same perspective, are saying you want something. I'll tell you how to get it. It's your discipline. It's just doing it. It's not wanting to, it's wanting to, and just getting it.
that is, teach that to your children, write it on your wall.
True that.
You know that when you go into a Jewish person's house, they have the mezuzah.
What is this?
I don't have enough Jewish friends.
Yeah.
My Jewish friends. So the mezuzah is a little, it's a little scroll, and it's on the door because in the Torah it says that you should write it on your wall. You should mount it on your doorway. So it's just scripture from the Bible.
And it's a scripture or a particular scripture or your own?
It's a particular one. I have no idea which one it is, but
okay.
yes.
I got it.
Mezuzah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. We don't have a lot of
there's not an abundance of Jewish people.
Not a lot of
here.
Jews here.
I've got one good Jewish friend.
He got you.
Actually, there's a funny story about that because I'm totally not practicing. Well, I mean, I do.
Then I don't have any Jewish friends.
No. There's the culture and
but I mean, I do practice the one thing, which is that all there is love, and that if you are just, as that rabbi said, just love yourself and love everyone else as you love yourself. But it's a funny story. So I told you that I go to the spa, the Russian baths, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And there are many ultra-Orthodox Jewish men who go there on Sunday when there's no women allowed. And the discussion that we've been having today, specifically the one about the vision and the going to this land of milk and honey and the Garden of Eden, etc., this is not the first time I've discussed this, and it was discussed one time talking about being crazy. It was discussed one time in the sauna, and afterwards one of these Orthodox men came out to me, and he said to me, he didn't come out to me, although that's, they do sometimes need to, but they don't. He came to me and he said, I know why that happens to you. And I said, yeah, you do? He said, yep. He said, I am a genealogist. So he studies, Jewish genealogy. And he said, by looking at this part of my face, he could tell who my relatives were and that they've been having those visions for thousands of years.
Nice. Some would call it a prophet, right?
Well, some would call it a prophet. Some people call me Messiah.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just a cute old guy.
I mean, I'd take you on a date.
You want to hear why I'm a cute old guy?
Hit me.
So I used to have a job, and there was one other person at the job who had equal power to me other than the owner, a woman named Susan. And I used to, this was when I was the asshole, so I used to tell her that when people thought I was obnoxious, I wasn't really obnoxious, I was just cute and they didn't get it. At which point she would come over to my desk at a variety of times in my career and say, Dennis, you are being so cute, I cannot get over it.
I like it.
So when I refer to myself as cute, I'm referring to myself as obnoxious, and people don't know it.
That's great. Hey, but your own inside joke sometimes can fuel you to get through the day.
When I met that one about 5 years ago, he was extremely cute. He was cute all the time. I loved him.
Everyone that ends up friends with Brock first says he's the biggest asshole.
Well, that was me, and that's an interesting thing. As a result of the change that took place in 2007, I lost a lot of friends.
Really?
They were asking.
As in you chose to be away from them because of that, or?
No, they rejected me because I was no longer angry. I was no longer the person I had been, and that's who my friends were. My friends were, angry, loud,
cute old
It's
men.
really strange how polarizing positivity can be.
Oh, really? I mean, one of them said to me, "You walk down the street you look all beatific." Is that the word? Beatific?
Beatific?
Beatific, like an angel is beatific.
I'm gonna have to look this word up.
I don't know
I'm
this
a
one.
word guy, and you got me.
Brock's a word guy. I'm dumb, so I wouldn't know it anyways. But Brock's a word guy.
Beatific.
Beatitude. So didn't you say beatitude before?
I did say beatitudes before.
So beatitude is, what is beatitude?
It is like it's like the quintessential attitude, right? It's so to be beatific. Oh,
Beatific.
Okay,
Yeah.
whenever you define a word, you need to use a word that's not as complex as that word.
Yeah.
Full of love.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Full of
I like
happiness
that.
and love. In other words, you can
The top
walk down the
attitude.
street. You can walk down the street and you can see somebody who is full of happiness. You can feel it.
All I gotta do is watch you play guitar for about 10 seconds.
Oh shit.
You know, we don't get a lot of that, like, here in Louisiana. And my wife, she's from New Mexico. She talks about it all the time. She says everyone here has the RBF, the resting bitch face.
Ah! Well, well,
Look, now he's pulling a jar out of the corner of the screen.
Get it.
Oh, he's
I don't
had
know
that.
what's in it, but get it.
What is that? I'm curious.
that is tart cherry juice, red berry powder, chia seeds,
I thought I saw some chia seeds.
outside of vinegar, and water.
And
Water. Water.
Where you from?
I play my fingers. I use my fingers, and I drink water. I got a gallbladder. They didn't take the fucking thing out, but the
Do you
gallbladder.
ever lose your khakis?
Coffee. We drink coffee. Yeah, we're from New York. Hey, the fuck.
I love how we're enjoying it, but the one time I went to New York City, everyone was mocking my accent.
Right. Yeah.
When was that?
Oh, I was probably 14.
He was a wee little lad.
Yeah, wee little boy.
So in the Netherlands, I didn't know this. Do you guys know that there's a movie being made about me?
No.
No.
No, I didn't, but I'm gonna watch it.
Well, if it ever comes out, but I think it will. There's a movie being made about me, and part of it has to do with a friend that I made, similar to you guys, on the internet. And he was from northeastern Netherlands. So it turns out that people from the northeast Netherlands, when they go to a city like Amsterdam, are treated like you said you were treated. They can tell by the way they speak that they're essentially considered hillbillies.
Oh, yeah.
Correct, and they're not. Well, they are. I mean, they're farmers. That's. They're not city people at all. They're farmers. They raise sheep and cows and make cheese and shit. And because of the way they speak, they are identified as being Frisian, which is called Friesland. And I know that the same sort of bias takes place in northern cities towards people who are from the south. And guess what? Messiahsez does not support that.
Hey, it's all good, brother.
Well, I try my best.
Being
Do you know
from the
the
South sucks because of two things. There's two things that are always assumed about you as soon as you open your mouth and people can hear the accent. And that is
Yeah.
ignorant and racist.
And
Yeah,
both
I
of those are
see that.
usually true.
You hush. No, I actually enjoy the disadvantage, personally.
I kind of do too because people are always surprised.
Yeah, that way I can win the argument because they're not pulling out their big guns.
A college professor said to me many, many years ago, never expect intelligence. That way, when you encounter it, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Aw.
Still trying to find some in Dylan.
Well, and also, the other thing is actually, and I was thinking this on the train as I was coming home today, never expect anything. You'll never be disappointed if you don't expect shit.
But still have goals, right? Still have where you're wanting to go with things.
Well, yes, and that's interesting because, that's interesting that you're saying actually to expect something of yourself, which I hadn't really thought of before. Again, though, I guess if you will be disappointed if you expect something of yourself and it doesn't happen. So that's
Yeah. But I mean, disappointment often drives success.
Well, that is correct. There you go.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm saying just have a goal,
Okay.
but be okay with the failure of it.
Cause that's my own
There you go.
reflections. Cause I always expect the most from myself when I compete and when I fight, and I've been disappointed before, and that usually drives even more success in the future.
Yeah, because then I'm having to fight him off with a stick the next week.
Bob Dylan said there is no success like failure, and that failure is no success at all.
Wait,
He
say it
did.
again. Say it again.
Say it again.
Yeah, say it again.
That there is no success like failure, but that failure is no success at all.
Yeah, to keep going. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. I'm digging
And
it.
what you said before is that the failure, the quote unquote failure, is just a lesson learned. It's and the smartest person is the person who learns from everyone that they meet. So
Yeah, and I think the way that me, Dylan, and Matt kind of absorb that is in jiu-jitsu, it's a submission grappling, right? So you submit people via arm lock or choke holds and
All
things like
three do
that.
it?
All three, yes.
Oh.
So, there's a big saying in jiu-jitsu, you learn more tapping, which means that you submit, than you ever do winning.
Interesting. Wow. And I actually physically just had that feeling. I just physically felt the immobilization of a jiu-jitsu hold, and understood exactly what you were saying, even though it didn't happen to me. I just felt it, which was just amazing.
It was the power of me just making the move.
Don't really.
Don't do it.
It's a bittersweet feeling whenever Brock and Dylan's like putting a collar choke on.
Yeah, I was out of town for 2 weeks, and I went to another jiu-jitsu school just to continue practicing. And I went there a handful of times, and enrolled with those guys. And it was really interesting to, put a chokehold that I'm used to from our school on, and those guys just be like, "What was that?" Just accidentally put one guy to sleep, by the way.
Did you roll with Kirby?
Kirby. Astor?
Yeah.
Actually, he was only there one night, and I didn't get a chance to roll with him. Wiry little dude, though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Who was? Okay, I'll save that conversation.
So is there a career in music for Messiahsez?
Yeah, YouTube.
Wait, say it
Yeah,
again?
but is there a career in music for Messiahsez right now?
A career?
In music?
Well, so here's the thing. One of the jokes about my channel is that it's getting dark here, by the way. Does it look okay?
Oh, yeah, you're still
you
fine.
look fine.
Our camera adjusts the light, so we're good.
Right.
One of the jokes about Messiahsez is, I said it to you before, but you didn't get it, was that if I ever make a lesson or say something which I think is good, I say if I had a DVD, I'd put that on it, but I don't. And I have almost 6 million views, although it doesn't show that on the front page, which is interesting. Sometime I'm going to ask them about that. But I have almost 6 million views, and I have 58,000 plus subscribers. And my total revenue for the entire thing has been 69 cents. And
Yep.
I didn't mean to make the 69 cents. I don't even know where it came from. So the answer is I don't make any money at all, period. The only thing that I do with money at this point is pay my bills and give it away.
And it's kind of interesting, right? Because you're a man who lives pretty free now, but the younger asshole version of you is kind of what made that possible, right?
What made it possible is that I had never once in my life spent more than I made.
Right. But, okay, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yes. And yes, also my wife when I first met my wife, she was studying to be a nurse. She was a nurse from age 25 to age 40. At age 40, she started to pursue a PhD in American history. At age 50, on the day she planned it when she was 40, she got a PhD in American history, taught at the college for a number of years, and now retired and is literally a full-time climate change activist. When you saw her leaving, she was on her way to a meeting to discuss fundraising and other stuff for her climate change. I know you guys are from Louisiana. You don't believe in that, but whatever.
Didn't Trump say isn't climate change caused by the Chinese? Isn't it caused by...
Absolutely. No, it's caused by God, for God's sakes. Don't you understand?
Weather changes all the time.
You do the Southern man very well.
To the United States. And let me explain something to you. God wants global warming to happen. God wants to take all you people to heaven, go back into the ground from where you came from, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I don't know why you fucking people are so afraid of dying. God wants to kill you, and God's going to do it, and they all going to die.
One of us. One of us. One of us.
One of us. One of us.
To be fair, we're just as frustrated as you about that, or at least I am.
Good. Well, frustrated, yeah. And that's, wait, why did I bring that up?
The
Your
climate
wife,
change.
Your wife
and-
being extremely intelligent.
Oh, my wife. So, well, and so, yes, I mean, we are, we live within our means, and that's why I am able to, and the, another Jewish saying, by the way, I only know 3 Jewish sayings. The first one is that the strongest person is the person who conquers their own will. And we did talk about that before. Mm-hmm. That the smartest person, which I said a moment ago, is the person who learns from everyone that they meet. And that the richest person is the person satisfied with what they have. And I actually have more than I need and give it away. So, yes, I don't monetize this. I don't make any money. I could, but I don't. And then people sometimes say, well, why don't you do it and then give the money away? And to tell you the truth, it would add money to it, and it wouldn't be the same for me. So, yeah, I don't do money.
It'd make it work, wouldn't it?
Well, interestingly enough, how many hours a day do you think I put in?
I feel like you're a one-take man.
4? I say 4.
Right, 4 to 6. I do 4 to 6 hours a day. Yes, I am a one-take man, but I also answer every comment. There has not been one comment that I didn't answer, and I have the same thing on Facebook. I have 80, almost 9,000 Facebook people, and I have these 50, so I answer every single comment. I also, I am a one-taker, but I also do edit them, because sometimes the one take has a beginning or an end that I just cut out, et cetera, et cetera. And, but yes, I do about 4 to 6 hours a day.
That's something that I've thought about a lot lately. I used to do this a lot on my social media, is everyone that would post on one of my pictures or one of my videos, I'd make sure to go back and put a little comment by every single person. And here lately, I've been fucking lazy. And I'd kind of just go through and I'd like them, and maybe I'd comment on 1 or 2. I should really go back and change that.
Although I do really understand what you're saying, it is, there's also, I'm also at the moment, so I used to spend a lot of time on Reddit, and I was a member of what's called the Century Club. And the Century Club is Redditors with, I'm going to do this. Hopefully it doesn't ruin everything.
There we go. Actually, I was going to let you finish your story, but let's do it. Look at that luminous face.
Look at that bow.
Ooh.
That bow. That exfoliated skin.
And also, this was actually sent to me by somebody who liked my videos from Humboldt County, California.
I like it.
Also known as the bud capital of the universe.
the universe.
Yeah, well, so I've been, as I said, I have around 350,000 karmas on Reddit. And if you get 100,000 karmas, they invite you to this Century Club thing, which is a group of Redditors who have 100,000 comments or more. And it just...
Are they coming for you?
He may not be able to hear it, the ambulance.
Well, I live on a boulevard that goes towards a hospital.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
you have a chance to say a quick prayer for everybody that passes by, right? Yeah.
Well, that's another funny thing. So, I live. I often refer to myself as the highest Jew in Brooklyn because I live on the 13th floor of a building that is pretty much at the highest spot in Brooklyn. So, and there are 3 sections of Brooklyn, this way, and this way, which are ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods. And I literally am like the focus point of the 3 of them. So I like to refer to myself as the highest Jew in Brooklyn, and that all of the prayers that they do are actually boosted by my energy from my
Oh God.
Mashiach, they call me Mashiach.
Mashiach.
Mashiach is Messiah in Hebrew.
That's awesome. And you obviously don't shy away from these deep conversations with Orthodox Jews, right? And I mean, from the few that I've met, and I mean, it's been pretty rare for me to even have a chance to meet an Orthodox Jew, but they don't shy away from conversations either. So I imagine that, you know, like you're saying, those sauna conversations on Sunday can get pretty deep.
Yeah, well, what they do when they go to their religious school, the yeshiva is called, they spend really their entire life sitting across from someone discussing what's being said in the books. And that's how they come to understand it. And so interestingly enough, although I think that I have never found a religion whose practice is reasonable, in the case of these, in the case of the Hasidic Jews, they're thinking about the things that I'm talking about more than most people. In fact, and
that's good.
Yeah,
And,
that's why
that's a question I had for you, and I don't have the opportunity, like Brock had said, we don't have the opportunity to speak with Jewish men and women as much. But anytime I go to share my perspective on spirituality or certain things about Buddhism, I go to share it with anyone of the slightest Christian faith, it immediately becomes a dick swinging contest. And so all I could picture is you in this sauna, just knuckles deep, swing your dick, arguing with this other Jewish guy. And you said they actually take it in, though, and like you said, they think about it more than anyone else.
Well, so you just said Buddha.
Yes, Buddhism.
Right. So the Buddha and many other people in this world have had, and I hope this doesn't sound vain, but have had a similar experience to what I've had.
No, absolutely. I understand completely.
In fact, so what I say is that I have never read any of the books, but could write them. Because when I do see them, to a certain degree, except in terms of necessarily the practice, they, you know, the people who, there are people who, Alan Watts referred to it as cosmic consciousness. There are people who have cosmic consciousness, and that cosmic consciousness typically is the same for people, whether they're Buddhists or whatever they are. The cosmic consciousness is the same. The practice and the politics that then flows from the religion, which is what people create in order to try to spread the word, is where the problems come. Now, again, I'm lost.
No, you're not.
No,
you're still
on the
right on.
perfect
You're
path.
right on. You're right on target.
You know, he was just talking about how for him, you know,
Discussing different ideas and spiritualities is always conflicting.
people always get contentious.
Yes, that is right, and that is the problem, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right, because I happen to be just a guy that was raised without a TV, and so much of my childhood was spent just reading books upon books, and then I ended up reading a lot of religious texts, and it always astounded me how, at the end, you're right, the only thing that really changes is the practice thereof, because these messages are the same over and over and over and over again, and I'm always like, y'all are literally arguing about the how, not even the substance of what.
No, that's exactly right.
whether or not God wears a yellow hat or an orange hat. Like, people are stuck on the smallest shit.
And also, does God really want your wife to cover herself up the way some people ask them to do? And do they want you to cut them in certain ways? Do they want, it is, yes. And that contentiousness is the most important and difficult challenge that we face as human beings. And if they would just fucking listen to me and subscribe to my fucking channel, comment, and it just, but no, they want to go out and do things.
It all boils down to that group identity, though, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
well, yeah.
We have, and not to be rude, but the people that subscribe to your channel, I'm sure there's a certain amount of them that'd be like, if those motherfucking Christians would just subscribe to this channel and get away from everything they're doing, and it kind of goes on both ends.
Well, yes, yes, and that is, as I say, that is the problem, and it is definitely not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, where's the love?
Well, a lot of people just repeat the message without understanding the point.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's religion, as opposed to enlightenment.
Yeah.
As opposed to what?
Enlightenment.
As opposed to enlightenment. So, in other words, and there are. Doesn't matter the group. There are Buddhists who have done, horrendous things in the name of Buddha. So yes, and it's the gap that causes all that shit.
It's all about that cognitive dissonance, right? I'll completely disagree with everything you say because of this one little piece, And
cognitive that's a good term. I hadn't applied that. That's exactly what it is.
He's good at that.
I'm just a dumb old boy from the bayou, brother. I'm just a dumb old boy from the bayou.
Hey, the bayou.
That's right.
Wow. Are you from bayou?
We're literally surrounded by bayou right here.
It's a Louisiana reference. It's really wet out here.
Look, what it is they live in a bayou to the point to where they can't even understand that they're in a bayou. To get to this place right here where you're at, you literally drive on a road that's surrounded by water on both sides for 5 minutes, and you don't think you're surrounded by a bayou?
Yeah.
It sounds like Netherlands, but I did not see. I'm an ignorant New Yorker. It turns out that I didn't realize that northern Louisiana was so that had bayous.
No. It's nothing like southern. So your idea of the southern Louisiana?
That's the marshlands.
That's
marsh.
That's a whole nother world. That being said, I just got back from South Louisiana, and I guess I'm so used to it, it didn't seem that bad.
Yeah. So and it is such different areas because there are some that are. When you say marshland, it's more water than land, and then when you say bayou, it's water, but it's like 2 foot of water. For these big areas.
But on a large surface area.
Yeah, large surface area. If you looked at it, you'd be like, oh, look at this lake. But then you see a guy standing out in the middle of it hunting ducks.
A lot of times I question our ancestors because there's water right there and we're below sea level. And they go, I think I want to put my house here.
Is it freshwater?
Up here it is, yes.
Up here, yeah.
Yeah, down south you'll get into that brackish mixture.
Right. Wow. And yeah, one of the major issues is in Asia is that the rivers are being destroyed with pollution, and often it's to clothe and feed us, which is weird.
It's weird because we already have way too many clothes and way too much food over here.
Well, that's the bad side of the capitalist system, right? What most philosophers, especially in the 50s and 60s, was wrestling with of yes, we're all living better, but we're not free. And it promises freedom, but it's not freedom, it's just a better enslavement, right?
Yes, and consumerism, I think, is the word for that. And yeah, and but we've all woven our lives around the system that it's how we have our clothing, it's how we have our food, it's how we get our heat, it's how we. I mean, you think the guitar didn't come from no place? I assure you, and it's yeah, it's a difficult world we live in. Mass extinction, of course, is the solution.
Something has to give. Something's got to be pushed out, and humans are the best candidate.
Yeah, well, because I mean, look at the shit we do, right?
Well, we've been over carrying capacity for how many years?
Well, it's how you define carrying capacity, and I don't say mass extinction. I say get the fuck off this rock. I believe that humans. I say we got to get the fuck off this rock. I believe humans have got to get out of here. You know?
Well, you are not. Yes, there are others who yeah, that's interesting.
That's been his story since he was a child. Actually, that's his prophet. His long lost awakening is the escape of Earth.
Well, that's not a bad idea. It would be great if it could happen. You know, what was it? It was. I don't know if you guys remember this because you're too young. You know the word grok?
Say it again.
Grock, grok.
I don't. It's so close to my name, I'm confused.
Yeah, I thought you said Brock. I was like, he's right there.
So if you write down grock, you grok things, and it was from. I'll never remember the name of it. There was a science fiction when I was young, and they would grok things, and grok essentially was to understand. But it's a very famous book. You probably do know it, but they left the planet.
Yeah, I think that I think even like there's certain concepts that you talk about with the universe and love and vibrations and things like that. I think the vast majority of humanity won't be able to understand unless they're not confined to just this sphere of existence, this world that we're hooked to. You know?
Well, yeah, that's wise. In the song Galveston, do you know that one? About the Galveston flood?
No.
You played that on your channel, didn't you?
I did probably, or on the Facebook for sure, but I didn't. Yeah, Tom Rush. Yes, I did actually play it.
Yeah, I watched that.
Yeah, and he said what he said was the trumpets blew a warning, but nobody left that place. Nobody was leaving until death stared them in the face. Wasn't it a mighty storm? Wasn't it a mighty storm in the morning? And yeah, sometimes people need to face.
There's an old Southern saying that you never fix the barn door until the horses get out.
Oh, that's great.
Makes you think of the Netherlands, doesn't it?
Say again?
So it makes you think of the Netherlands, doesn't it?
Netherlands, I love the Netherlands so much.
It changed your world, right?
I changed my life there. Many religions, so the Muslims look at Mecca, and the Jews and the Christians look at Jerusalem. I look at Amsterdam.
the land of the ice and snow.
I really do think that Amsterdam, I think that in the great one thing that there are places where the flow, the power, the energy is stronger. And Netherlands, for me, is definitely one of those places.
Ley lines, if you will.
You know, I just feel it so much. I feel it sitting here. I can be there.
That's because you're the antenna for all of...
You're the highest Jew in New York.
Brooklyn.
Highest Jew in Brooklyn, right? And in New York there are higher ones, but well, because they have taller buildings.
I'm so uncultured; it's all the same spot for me. I've been west; I never go east.
Right now, I am looking. So the reason, by the way, for the glasses is that my left eye essentially stares, and my right eye is what I use to look at things, which is a whole complicated story. And I see double. I don't see the same way you do. I see double. And I can also concentrate if I want to and see out of both at the same time and input two separate things. You look at things and you see one thing. I can see two. So in my right eye, I am looking out towards the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and I'm seeing brownstone Brooklyn, which are mostly 3-story brownstone homes with backyards and trees. And I'm seeing the trees and the rooftops. To my left eye, I'm seeing Prospect Park, which is it's like being in the woods. And further this way, I can see Coney Island.
That is so freaking cool. You're like a chameleon.
Well, and I live in a very wonderful place.
That's awesome.
I'm lucky. Well, I'm lucky. I don't know. I got a nice wife. If it weren't for my wife. Oh, by the way, I also have how to have a happy marriage.
Mm-hmm.
First, what makes her happy makes you happy.
Okay. What?
Very important. When you're an asshole, she says, "Yes, dear." At which point you know you're an asshole and you shut up.
Yeah.
When she's ready, yeah.
And you're talking about your marriage and how incredible it is, and I almost wanted to bounce a few thoughts off of you because I have an extremely supportive wife. Extremely supportive and almost too submissive. Like she's incredible. She follows me everywhere, every tournament, every fight. She's taking care of me, making sure I'm eating right. She takes care of my diet. She's just so incredible. And so you said whenever she's happy, you're happy, and I feel like when I'm happy, she's happy. How do I make sure to balance that since you're in the talk of marriage? How do I make sure that she gets everything she needs whenever she's always so focused on me and my career?
Boy, I mean, in my life, I will again say what makes her happy makes me happy, and so the balance is that what makes her happy actually makes you happy. It's not something that you make up. It actually makes you happy, and you maybe have to figure out how what makes her happy makes you happy. But if what makes her happy makes you happy, you're both happy.
If she's happy, if her making me happy makes her happy, and I'm happy that she's happy that she makes me happy, are we happy? Because she seems really happy.
Sounds like it.
All right.
Well, I mean, I would interject in just a little bit of personal life. She's a teacher, right?
She actually started off before. She's a special educations teacher, and whenever you talked about your wife going from nursing to education, she started off in college as a nurse, and certain things took place, and she decided that education and specifically special education would be more of her calling. And so she took that route, and she recently moved down here in June and started teaching in the Louisiana Educational Department as a special education teacher for middle schoolers. And she loves her job, and she has more patience than anyone I've ever met. So that's how she puts up with me.
Because he's a big kid.
So I didn't. The third thing was when my wife is ready to go, I'm ready to go. So like if Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan came back to life and came to my apartment or came to where I was and were jamming with me, and my wife gave me the signal, I would get up and fucking leave Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
Why? Because I'm crazy, not stupid. Now, the final thing is, which is true in my case and is not always true in the case of people that I meet, is my wife is hard of hearing.
Okay. All right.
Which means that I can get away with a whole bunch of shit because she doesn't hear what I say.
Just kind of mumble it.
Well, actually, my son mumbles too, but yeah, she just doesn't hear it. And some of the things that she sometimes hear me say is just hilarious. That no, I didn't say that, but anyhow, Did you guys record this by any chance?
Oh, dude, this whole thing's been recorded.
Wait, we were supposed to record this?
Every moment.
My mic's been off. My mic's been off this whole time.
Yeah, no. We've actually live streamed it to YouTube.
Say again?
We live streamed it to YouTube.
Oh, that's great. And I did enjoy very much so far what we're doing. So
It's okay. We was about to wrap it up anyway. We've been here 2 hours, and like I promised you, we wouldn't keep you any longer than that.
I'm amazed that it was truly it was truly a lot of fun for me, and you guys are super. So are you going to come to New York?
You know what?
Next year I have a plan to make it to New York for IBJJF.
You got a
So
tournament
I'll
up
be in
there.
that area.
Well,
Sounds like a good trip.
well, and it's a real pleasure to do this. It was a lot of fun, and I really hope that your followers enjoy the shit out of it. And will it be posted? Will any of it be posted on YouTube, other than just the live part?
I may chop it up. Sometimes I chop things up for little short spurts, but we'll have the audio only version out, and then there'll be the YouTube version out. I'm going to put both those posts together. I'll tag you in it on Facebook, and we'll send it out, and you can share the devil out of it.
You have my my email, so we'll be.
Right.
That's great. I am so happy to have met you guys. Just a ton of fun, and finally to say that actually what I am is a fun addict.
Just so that it's I literally just sent you a Facebook message saying, hey, you want to do a podcast interview? You said yes, and then what are the details? You said yes. What are the details?
Absolutely. What are we doing?
Right, stupid. Well, yeah, no, yeah, it's not the first time, and also one of the things is that what we just did was spontaneous.
Yes.
Right.
On your part as well as my part, but 90. You said one take. Yes, 99% is just spontaneous. I have no fucking idea what I'm doing.
I mean, we
need to do what
don't
I-
have any notebooks,
No.
paper. We're shooting from the
Oh, I
hip.
noticed that.
And it's been a wonderful conversation. Like, I personally feel like this has made me a better person.
That humbles me and brings me great joy.
And you're one of the, and I just want to say this before we get out here, you're one of the few people I've met that's living life like every other person except 2 inches off the ground.
That's right.
Well, thank you. I'm trying actually to do that, and it's when you see that and feel it, it is very powerful for me, and I really can't thank you enough.
Awesome. I appreciate it. We're fixing to close this up. We're going to talk to you right after, but we're going to shut this thing down, so just hang tight for us, brother. And seriously, thank you, and thank you.
Play us a tune as we close it out. Close us out strong.
Close us out.
All right, check it out.
Gorilla Banter Podcast. Chunking some deuces. Catch y'all on the other side.
All right.